Hare Krishna, Namaste, Chapter 18, which is entitled as Sannyasa Yoga. Sloka 41, Part 1. Brāhmaṇa-kṣatriya-viśāṁ śūdrāṇāṁ cha paran-tapa karmāṇi pravibhaktāni svabhāva-prabhavair guṇaiḥ. At the starting of this chapter, we learned that the two terms, tyaga and sannyasa, are one and the same, has no differences. They only mean that sattvika tyaga comprises of kartritva tyaga, mamata tyaga, and phalatyaga. That is, giving up the mentality of doership, that I am the doer, giving up the mentality of proprietorship, and giving up the mentality of expecting a result based on one's action. I am not the doer, I am not the proprietor, and I am not entitled to the results of my action. That is said to be sattvika tyaga. And Krishna says this is a tyaga that one should develop. That means if one must perform an action in that spirit, I am not the doer, I am not the proprietor, and the result doesn't belong to me, then one should possess a high degree of sattva guna. Without sattva guna, sattvika tyaga is not going to take place. That we have learnt. Therefore, Krishna is insisting us to endeavor for developing that sattva guna to the max. When that sattva guna is increased, then one's thought process will be sattvika. One's speech will be sattvic. One's action will be sattvic. One's jnana, knowledge, will be sattvic. One's intellect, buddhi, will also be sattvic. One's determination, dhriti, will be sattvic, and one's sukham, happiness, will also be sattvic. If one does not develop sattva guna, obviously they have to fall into the other two gunas, rajas and tamas, and develop things accordingly. And this is applicable, these three gunas applicable to anyone and everyone, either people of this world or those who are in the higher planetary system. No one is free from the three gunas. Everyone is constantly being influenced by these gunas. This is what we have studied until this point. That is Sloka 40. Now, with that understanding, based on a particular guna, one performs certain actions. An action that being undertaken should be for ultimate goal of our life, that is to attain the Supreme Lord, attainment of liberation. Any action that we perform should be in the form of worship, worshipping the Supreme Lord, whatever one performs as an action. Whether one works, one eats, one sleeps, does things as prescribed in the scriptures, all that activities should be of the form of worshipping Krishna, to please Krishna. By doing so, one can attain mercy of Krishna. When Krishna is pleased, then purpose of our birth is fructified. But let's remember, all these are only possible if we have sattva guna, not possible with rajoguna and tamoguna. That means we now should know what are the action that to be performed. If action to be explained, then that action to be bound to certain people. Not that everyone can do any action. There are prescribed activities that should be performed by designated people. For that purpose, Now Krishna is going to talk about various duties of various classes of people. Krishna classified the people into 4 categories: brāhmaṇa-kṣatriya-viśāṁ and śūdras. They are known as varnas, and brahmachari, grahastha, vanaprastha and sannyasa falls under ashramas. Varnas means social order of life. Ashrama means the stage in one's life. Combine these together is called varnashrama. In chapter 4, Sloka 13, Krishna did mention about the varnas. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagasah tasya kartaram apiman vidya kartaram avyayam. That is, according to the 3 modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the 4 divisions of human society are created by me. And although I am the creator of the system, you should know that I am the non-doer, being unchangeable. Brāhmanas are priestly class of people who are dominated by the quality of sattva guna, and their duties are controlling the senses and the mind, performance of austerities, etc. Kṣatriyas, predominated by rajoguna, they control people. Act involves being very courageous, whereas vaiśyas are mercantile people. The quality of tamas dominates them to an extent. Cow protection, agriculture, things like that are their duties. And the 4th class has a high degree of tamas. They are śūdra class, and service to the other 3 classes is their duty. They are the labor class. Krishna says, I created the system. So, these 4 classes have their respective roles and responsibility in the society. Kindly refer to 4.13 for more information. But the question may arise, if it is already covered in the 4th chapter, why are we discussing that again here? What is the relationship between what we have studied so far until Sloka 40 with 3-fold gunas, the 3-fold divisions of material nature, and the 4 classes of varnas: brāhmaṇa-kṣatriya-viśāṁ and śūdras? Answer is simple, like how there are 3-fold divisions of jnana, karta, karma, buddhi, dhriti, sukham. These varnas also have specific gunas, which is based according to the activities that get assigned. For example, if an activity of someone is to fight, then certainly that can't be under sattva guna. It falls under rajoguna. Say someone who's very much interested in dhyana, then that cannot fall under tamoguna. It has to be sattva guna. So each activities that we do will be one of the 3 gunas, and that activity, what to do, what not to do, is based on the varnas. Brāhmanas cannot take up fighting as their duty. Likewise, Kṣatriyas cannot go into the forest to take up dhyana as their duty. Well, we have studied in Puranas where many kings have entered into the forest and did dhyana and attained the Supreme Lord. Yes, that is where the different stage of life comes into the picture. Based on one's age, one can be a student, one can be a householder, one can be a retired householder, and one can completely renounce things and enter into the forest. But as long as one is in the stage of householder or grahastha, then one must perform as per their varna. Therefore, each of this varna, the class, has some specific gunas by which one performs a particular type of activities. Brahmana performs certain types of activities which is different from Kshatriyas. Kshatriyas perform certain type of activities which is different from Brāhmaṇas. Likewise, vaiśyas have their duties which is different from the other three, and Śūdra has different activities which is different from Brāhmana, Kshatriya and Vaiśyas. But all four have some duties to perform as prescribed in the scriptures. We have already studied about karta, the doer, who falls into three categories: Satvika karta, Rajasa karta and Tamasa karta. Then why are we again studying a similar thing about the doer? It is not similar. That was said in common, in general. Here we are going to study from the angle of varnas, that is, doer as Brahmana, doer as Kshatriya, doer as Vaiśyas and doer as Śūdras. Why? Because over there we have not seen the duties of the doers. Over here we are going to study the duties of the doer who falls into these four categories. And that duties are specific to the gunas. That is, if it is a Brahmana, then the expectation is that jnana, karma, buddhi, dhriti, sukham should be based on sattva guna, and hence he should be a satvika karta. If it is a Kshatriya, then the expectation is that jnana, karma, buddhi, dhriti, sukham must be based on rajoguna, and hence he should be a rajasa karta. If it is Vaishya, then the expectation is that jnana, karma, buddhi, dhriti, sukham must be based on more of tamoguna. That means he should be more of tamasa karta. And if it is Śūdra, then the expectation is that jnana, karma, buddhi, dhriti, sukham should be based on high degree of tamoguna. That means he should be fully a tamasa karta. As we mentioned earlier in this section, all the four classes do have their respective duties, karma to perform. They carry the society. They are the four pillars of the society, mankind. And most importantly, we should know any one of these four classes can attain moksha. We have studied from the Puranas that even a bird has attained moksha, an animal has attained moksha, then what to speak about human? So these four classes are not barrier to attain moksha. It is the devotion towards the Lord matters. One's birth doesn't disqualify to attain that love of Godhead, to attain the Lord, to attain liberation. But this has to be understood clearly. So we will be spending few sessions on this topic before we enter into the details of this sloka. By understanding this sloka clearly, we will be free of many doubts, confusions and questions that may arise which based on the caste system that Krishna has created. The biggest question that we may have is, if one is dominated by a lower mode of material nature, then how can they develop or become sattvic? Or those who are born in higher class, that means they must be in sattva guna. How come their activities are lower in nature? Examples: Bhakta Prahlad was born as a asura by birth. but became a great devotee. How is that possible? How come Ravana was born to a Brahmana father? By birth, he was a Brahmana. Then how come he became a demon? Let's find answers in our following sessions. Namaste. Hare Krishna.